Hello, Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization. A retired staff sergeant from the Army wants to remain anonymous. I don't blame him. He'll go by the initials of RL. He writes us about his DB Cooper experience. They were searching for DB Cooper, his body, alive, whatever. He was a fugitive, hijacked a Boeing 727 aircraft, November 24th, 1971. He leaped out of the aircraft with the parachute and $200,000 in cash between Seattle, Washington and Portland, Oregon. As far as I know, DB Cooper has never been seen again. Only $5,800 was recovered. Washington boasts the most Bigfoot sighting reports in the world. If you're looking for Bigfoot, this is the #1 spot as far as sighting reports. DB Cooper jumped out over the vast forests of Washington. I often wondered if DB Cooper survived. Did he run into Bigfoot as he was trying to hike out of the forests? Personally, I don't think he survived, but then again, nobody's found his body. Because of the sighting reports out of the state of Washington, our team has done some Bigfoot expeditions. It's at the edge of our budget territory, let's say. We have a travel budget and we try to keep our Bigfoot expeditions within about 1,000 miles of where we all live. And Washington's right on the edge of that. We do make it out there, so we do have some footage of the area near the Oregon-Washington border, and we're going to give this guy sighting reports. RL writes us just recently. This is what RL writes to us. Hello, I do not know how to start this account, but here it goes. Back in 1972, I had just returned from Vietnam and was stationed with the 3rd Cavalry at Fort Lewis, Washington. I arrived in October 27, 1971. About a month later, the DB Cooper case happened. You know, the guy that jumped from the airplane with some $200,000? Well, in February of 1972, we were 3rd Cavalry 3rd Squadron assigned to the FBI, and we were taken to the mountains in southern Washington state along the Columbia River. We spent a little over a month searching those mountains for this guy, D. Cooper, aka DB Cooper. Well, during the 3rd week, we were around 6,500 to 7,000 feet altitude searching. During our search, we had found some dead bodies in different states of decomposition at different locations in our search area. During the 3rd week, my squad was assigned to the far left side of the line. We were about 4 to 5 meters apart. It was a foggy day. We had searched around 8 a.m. and had been transported to an area around 7,000 feet. I was the squad leader during our search that day. I found some strange structures in the forest. Weird logs that had been placed in very strange positions. Some broken small trees about 4 to 7 inches in diameter, which had been broken at about the 7 to 8 foot high. I did not mention anything because it wasn't relevant to our search. Now we continue searching and moving west along the top of the cliff, which was running almost parallel to the Columbia River. It was close to 11 a.m. and it was very cold. The fog had gotten a bit heavier, and there was a lot of brush and small trees, and a few high to around 12 to 16 foot tall. Then there was a moment that I had to walk through some heavy bushes, and we got kind of separated, about 5 to 6 meters apart from the next man to my right. As I fought my way through the brush and small trees, I came to a small opening about 20 feet wide. I could not see my right-hand man, but we could talk to each other as I crossed the opening. I noticed to my front left a dark section on the vegetation in front of me, but with the fog, I could not tell what it was, and I just continued. As I approached the dark area, I started to smell something rotten and nasty. I thought it was probably a dead body and moved closer to take a look. The closer I got, the stronger the smell became. I moved to the left some and started to approach the dark spot. Then realized suddenly I noticed a movement and it stepped in front of me. I'd look and this thing was huge. I could see dark brown hair, but did not see the head until I looked up. I mean way up. This thing was about 11 to 12 feet tall and had a human face. I froze in place and tried to call for my companions, but I could not utter a sound. This thing suddenly moved with such speed forward, and it hit me with one arm, and it sent me stumbling about 10 to 12 feet to the left. I tried to get control of my body, but I was so close to the cliff and about ready to fall down some 30 to 40 meters. I screamed as I fell and was lucky that the rest of the squad heard me. It took two of them 2 hours to get me up from the lower section. I was hurt. It damaged my back and left leg, and I was sent to Fort Lewis Military Hospital. Now what I saw, I never told a soul. This thing was no animal that I'd ever seen. It looked so human-like, but so big and muscular. It had hair all over its body except for the part of its face and hand. As I can recall, his arms had less hair than the rest of his body. What I remember the most was how huge and muscular this thing was. A couple of days back I was watching a video on YouTube when I saw the same face, and I realized that what I had seen was a Bigfoot. I have been in combat and have been in ambush, but I've never been so scared as I was when I encountered this thing that morning back in February 1972. Just needed to tell someone. I never ever do not mention my name. P.S. I sent an earlier message but could not finish it, so this is part 2 of my story. U.S. Army retired Staff Sergeant. We respond. Hi, RI. This is Kelly Shaw from the Rocky Mountain Sasquatch organization. Our team web designer Derek Wright forwarded me your Bigfoot sighting report. I'm excited to hear from you, and we'll keep you anonymous as you requested. We feel these reports are an important tool in learning more about these elusive giants. I know this was a long time ago, and so if you don't recall some of this stuff, then I completely understand. What color was the face and hands? What did the face look like? How about the eyes? Did it make any kind of a vocalization as it knocked you over and retreated? Did anyone else see or hear anything unusual on your patrol? Appreciate you taking the time to send us your report. Take care, Kelly Shaw. RLI responds. Hi, as I mentioned in my email, it was foggy that day, and it got much more foggy by the time of my incident. We were on a line from left to right, about 200 soldiers and about 3 to 4 meters apart. By the time this happened, I think that my closer soldier on my right was probably 6 meters away. We had reached a patch of terrain which was heavy with tall saplings and brush, so I can't really tell you if anyone else saw the thing. To my best recollection, as I started to go through the patch of the heavy brush, I noticed a foul smell. Something like rotten eggs or trash that had been exposed for the sun for like 6 to 8 days. I saw something dark to my front and a bit to the right, but I thought nothing of it. I did not feel scared, for I had soldiers to my right and I could hear them talk to the closest one, but I could not see him. Now, as I recall, the smell suddenly got so strong that it made me feel nauseated. I made a comment to Tommy, who was next to me on the right, and just as I finished saying, I saw the thing move toward me very fast. I had no time to react. What shocked me the most was its size and muscular build. If I do not mistake, it was kind of brown or dark brown, with some streaks of gray hairs on its upper torso. By the time I raised my head up to see him, all I could see was his black eyes and teeth, which to this day remind me of a person. I can't recall more of his face, for it was a complete surprise and foggy. As for the sound, all I heard was like a hard breath as he hit me and passed by my side. As I fell down the ravine, I did not pay attention to nothing else except trying to keep my body from being hurt more than it did. But the impression of his eyes and his muscular features is what stays with me all my life, as well as the smell. I never have ever smelt anything like that ever since. If I'm not mistaken, his hair was kind of long, some 3 to 4 inches, and his arm, at least the one that hit me, had less hair. His hand was huge, and very little hair, and the skin tone was much lighter, kind of light brown, something like that. But man, that body was huge. I'm 5 foot 9 inches tall, and he towered over me, at least 3 feet or more, and was easily double my size at the chest. His punch, if we can call it that, was so strong that I lost my ability to breathe normal for a few minutes. Plus add that to the fall, it was at least 10 to 15 minutes before I was calm enough to start processing what had happened. I know it was not a bear, for I've gone hunting at Mount Rainier, Mount Hood, Spokane, Yakima, and many times fishing and hunting at Mossy Rock, excuse my spelling, by the dam in the mountains, so I know what a bear can do and know what it can't do. I know that this happened very fast in just a few seconds, but after being trained as a long-range recon, field intelligence at Fort Bennington, and having spent 16 months in combat in Vietnam, my observation skill were in tip-top shape at the moment. I had not returned from Nam just over 5 months earlier. Now you ask about his eyes. As I said, they were black. By that I mean I did not notice any white on them like a human would have. Ah yes, I almost forgot. I think he had a scar on the right side of his face, which went from the side of his right eye to his chin. I can visualize that part of his hair in the chin had separation. It looked like maybe perhaps an old scar from a bear. It was not a fresh scar. As far as if someone else saw or heard anything, I can't say, for I never mentioned it to anyone, and no one said anything to me, not even Tommy, who was the closest soldier to my right. That's all I recall at the present. If I remember anything else, I'll contact you again. RLI. We really appreciate your Bigfoot sighting reports. I mean, not only is this D.B. Cooper a mystery, from what I understand, he's never been seen or heard from again. Perhaps he's dead in these forests. I don't know. Nobody's recovered a body. You guys were out there to recover a fugitive or recover a body. Just amazing that someone in the search party, you, run into Bigfoot. Not surprising, you were in the #1 area for Bigfoot sightings in the world. And you guys, sounds like you guys were running a string of 200 men. The Bigfoot probably felt like it had no other alternative but to run you over, unfortunately. They usually do not harm people, except for in rare circumstances. Any animal that feels like it's cornered is going to strike out to try and escape harm or capture. Really appreciate your report. 2 modern-day mysteries collide in February 1972. The Bigfoot phenomenon and the D.B. Cooper. We're going to continue searching for Bigfoot in these Bigfoot sighting hotspots. The footage that we were showing you was along the Oregon-Washington border. We were back and forth on an expedition out there, so I threw some of that footage out here with his report to kind of give you guys a taste of what this Bigfoot sighting hotspot is all about. Keep on watching. We're going to keep on squatching.